London, pre-dawn on September 18, 1970. In a quiet basement flat at the Samarkand Hotel, the man who set the world's stage on fire lies silent. Paramedics race through the grey morning, but it's too late. At just 27 years old, Jimi Hendrix is gone. The news hits like a shock wave. The guitar hero, the shaman of Woodstock, the voice of a generation, silenced. How did the brightest star in rock and roll fall so suddenly from the sky? To understand the tragic end, we have to go back to the very beginning. Seattle, 1942. Johnny Allen Hendrix is born into a world of hardship. With his parents' marriage crumbling, young Jimmy bounced between relatives, finding his only real sanctuary in music. Legend says he started by strumming a broom, imagining the sounds in his head. When his father finally bought him a $5 acoustic guitar, a legend was born. A natural left-hander, he taught himself to play a right-handed guitar flipped upside down, a symbol of how he would spend his life turning the world's conventions on their head. After a brief stint in the army, he hit the Chitlin Circuit, the lifeblood of black entertainers in the segregated South. He paid his dues, backing legends like Little Richard and the Isley Brothers. Even then, in the background, you couldn't miss him. His wild solos and stage tricks got him noticed, and sometimes fired for upstaging the star. By 1966, he was New York's Greenwich Village, a struggling artist whose genius was about to explode. The fuse was lit by Chas Chandler, the bassist for The Animals. He saw Hendrix play in a tiny club and immediately knew he was witnessing the future. He flew Jimmy to London, the pulsing heart of the 60s rock scene. Chandler formed the Jimi Hendrix Experience, and in a matter of weeks, it took London by storm. The Beatles, the Stones, Eric Clapton, rock royalty packed into smoky clubs, jaws on the floor. Pete Townshend of The Who called him a shaman who would explode into light. His first hits, Hey Joe, Purple Haze, The Wind Cries Mary, were a new language. But America still didn't know his name. That changed in June 1967 at the Monterey Pop Festival. He played like a man possessed, and then came the moment that became legend. He knelt over his guitar, doused it in lighter fluid, and set it on fire. A sacrifice. For the youth of the 60s, this was a defining image of rebellion and pure rock theater. If you were around then, you would remember the shock waves it sent. Then came Woodstock. In the muddy dawn of August 1969, Hendrix delivered the single greatest performance of the 60s. He wrestled with the star-spangled banner, pulling the sounds of bombs and screams from his guitar. In a nation torn apart by the Vietnam War, it was a sound that was both protest and prayer. The shy boy from Seattle was now a global icon, standing at the absolute pinnacle of rock culture. By 1969, Hendrix was reportedly the highest paid rock musician in the world, but behind the curtain, a dark story was unfolding. Early in his career, he unknowingly signed a predatory contract for just $1. That signature would haunt him, tying him up in lawsuits for the rest of his life. Worse, control of his career fell to a ruthless manager, Michael Jeffrey. While the Experience earned astronomical sums, most of the money vanished into Jeffrey's offshore accounts. Jimmy was a cash cow, pushed through a grueling, nonstop touring schedule that left him exhausted and creatively starved. The pressure mounted. Friends saw the gentle, witty Hendrix turn moody and explosive. He was arrested for drug possession in an incident many suspected was a setup by his own team to keep him scared and dependent. Jimmy even told friends he feared for his life. He was trapped. By 1970, he was desperately trying to break free. He built his own creative haven, Electric Lady Studios, and was counting the days until his oppressive management contract expired. He told friends he needed help, that he wanted to clean up and find a new musical direction. He was on the verge of a second act, a rebirth. Tragically, he never got the chance. On his final night, after an informal jam session in London, a restless Jimmy couldn't sleep. He took sleeping pills belonging to his girlfriend, a potent German brand called Vesperax. He was unaware of their strength. He took 9 tablets, 18 times the recommended dose. It was a fatal mistake. He fell into a sleep so deep that when he got sick, he couldn't wake up. The official cause of death was asphyxia while intoxicated with barbiturates. It was a tragic, preventable accident. The news stunned the world. His peers, Janis Joplin and Jim Morrison, would soon follow, all dying at the same eerie age, creating the grim legend of the 27 Club. Jimmy's death felt different. It wasn't just excess, it was neglect. The industry that made him a god failed to protect the man. In the years after, some even whispered of foul play, a chilling theory that his manager had him killed for insurance money. While unproven, the very existence of the rumor shows how deeply he was betrayed. Hendrix left behind only 3 official studio albums, but in those records he redefined the electric guitar, turning feedback and distortion into a new art form. Every rock guitarist who came after him stands on his shoulders. For those who grew up with his music, hearing Purple Haze on the radio or seeing his poster on a wall brings back a specific time and feeling. A time of rebellion, of hope, of change. His music is pure nostalgia, the soundtrack to a generation's youth. The tragedy is, what could have been? Would he have explored jazz? Would he have found peace? We'll never know. He was a lonely man at the top, a genius who brought joy to millions, but struggled to find his own. The night he died, he wrote a poem. It ended with the line, "The story of life is quicker than the wink of an eye. The story of love is hello and goodbye, until we meet again." His life was a brilliant flash, here and then gone. But the love, the music, the magic he poured into every note, that is forever. Every time a guitar screams its soul, every time a solo gives you chills, a part of Jimi Hendrix meets us again. He was the ultimate guitar player, an icon, a legend, gone too soon, but never forgotten.